6:30. Continued open public meeting for site plan application for Merriam Ave, map 261, parcel 5, Starbucks restaurant. But
Okay.
anyone here to speak in support?
We have a request from the applicant for this to be continued to the May meeting.
Okay.
That would be May 2nd.
Is he watching television or are we on a party line?
Hey, can you ask John to mute?
John, are you able to mute your phone
Or his TV?
Yeah, I got it.
or turn the TV off?
Yeah, I got it.
So we need a motion for May 2nd.
Are
Is
we
that
gonna-
May
I was in the
2nd?
other room.
You need a motion to move
Are we keeping
Starbucks.
it, whatever you guys want to pick, it doesn't matter. I won't be here on May 2nd.
Motion to move the May 2nd meeting to May 9th. So
Well, we need to confirm with the other board members first, so the meeting's already set up and like scheduled for the 1st and 3rd always.
Okay,
So I feel like we should leave it at the 2nd, and then if
Okay.
we need to move it from then, we can
Can we move it outside of the meeting here? Or do we have to vote on that?
That might be something Elizabeth also needs to consult the mayor on as well, to switch the meetings off. A permanent, you want to permanently move it?
No,
No.
I mean, just the temporary move. Do we have to vote on that?
No.
Okay.
No,
So you can
So
do it
let's just keep it on the
administratively.
2nd, and then if we can get a consensus about the 9th, we'll do that.
Okay.
6:30.
second.
A motion made and seconded to continue the Starbucks petition to May 2nd at 6:30 temporarily. All those in, motion made and seconded, all those in favor, roll call vote. John Souza?
It's just for the
Patrick Perla?
continued public hearing for the site plan approval, our application.
Patrick
Patrick Perla?
Patrick Perla?
Yes.
Carol Vittorioso?
Yes.
Jason
Yes.
Parre? Dean Valier?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to move to the regular meeting at 6:33?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to move to the regular meeting. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla?
Yes.
Carol Vittorioso?
Yes.
Jason Parre?
Yes.
John Souza?
Yeah.
Dean Valier?
Yes.
Minutes of previous meeting? None. 3.0, plan submitted? None. 4.0, we can't do. 5.0, we can't do. 6.0, communication. 6.1, city council petition 48-22, Peter Angelini, Ward 5 council, request to amend the city of Leominster revised ordinance section 12-2 as attached. The amendment will take effect July 1, 2022. With regard to revising the fee schedule in the city of Leominster to begin July 1, fiscal year 2023. Legal Affairs, course 3822, public hearing on April 11th, 22 at 6:45, 2/3 vote needed. Planning board to make a recommendation to the city council.
Okay, in front of you in your packet, you have a petition from Peter Angelini, and he has a list of fees that he wants to change. I would say most of them do not pertain to the planning board. What you might want to focus on, and this is really more of a city council item, is zoning petitions are going to be a filing fee of $250. So I don't know if you want to, as a courtesy, make any recommendation on that. And then the other one is special permit fees for the water supply protection district are being proposed to be $250, plus reimbursement for all public hearing publications and the cost of certified mail to abutters. Other than that, I didn't notice anything on here that was directly related to the planning board.
Can you call out the numbers of those applicable fees that you will reference?
Number 53 and 58 on page 2.
And what's the filing fee now?
For zoning petitions?
If you know, yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know that.
that's okay. I'm
But
assuming it's-
special permit, I think the fee now is $200 for other special
Okay,
permits.
it's probably
And
the
then
same.
for special permits to the water supply district, it would be $250.
Okay,
Starting,
all right. Anyone have any other questions or comments?
So the table after the list, please find the original fee schedule before the proposed changes.
Oh, that's helpful.
But the numbering is different.
So, yeah, you,
So
200. So it's a $50 increase for the ones that are applicable to us.
$50 increase, yeah.
All right. This is a recommendation to the city council. Does anyone have any other comments? Does anyone have a motion?
I make a motion to make a positive recommendation. It's probably time that we upgrade these.
Second.
Motion made, second to recommend approval to the city council. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla.
Yes.
Carol Torioso.
Yes.
Jason Parre.
Yes.
John Souza.
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
Okay,
Carol, can I just have, for the special permit fee, is that only just for water supply, so all
It's
of our
only for
others-
water supply.
So you don't recommend all of our other special permit fees be increased as well? Is that,
Is that in the purview of this, or is this just already?
It'd be
written as
easier,
is?
it would be more streamlined if all special permit fees were all $250. Because on the application, we'd have to separate it out that it's more for water supply
Okay.
protection districts, and it doesn't,
we can discuss that at a later date, but I just want to bring that up because it doesn't make too
Should we
much sense. to us.
set
Why don't we
that as
just-
a recommendation then?
why don't you just revise your recommendation?
I make a recommendation to add, or where does the language, can we just,
All special permit fees be at the new fee.
I make a recommendation that all special permit fees be $250
Plus reimbursement.
plus reimbursement.
Thank you.
Okay,
Second.
motion made, second. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla.
Yes.
Carol Torioso.
Yes.
Jason Parre.
Yes.
John Souza.
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
6.2, City Council Petition 49-22, Elizabeth Wood, on behalf of the planning board, requests to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to the solar ordinance, Article 3, Table of Uses in Section 22-104 of the zoning per attached letter. Legal Affairs Regular Course, March 28th, public hearing, May 9th, at 6:50 for 2/3 vote, planning board to schedule for public hearing.
So this could also be scheduled on May 2nd. We have to advertise the 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
640?
We have
6:40.
6:40. Okay.
Okay, motion made to schedule for 5/2 at 6:40. Do I have a, was the motion made? Motion,
Second.
second. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla.
Yes.
Carol Torioso.
Yes.
Jason Parre.
Yes.
John Souza.
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
We can move to director's report unless that's lengthy, Elizabeth.
It's not lengthy, I just
Okay.
have 2 quick things.
All right, 7.1, Planning and Development Director's Report for April 4th, update on UPWP.
Yeah, I think is there a letter in your packet?
Yes.
If you look, there's a letter in your packet from the Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission. We had a request a couple months ago for the UPWP program to do a traffic study at the intersection of Route 117 and Jungle Road, and it was approved. So they're going to be starting on this very soon, and they'll have a conclusion around September.
Great.
All right.
I also have good news on the zoning books. Originally, I was under the impression that the changes made to stormwater and erosion control were for the zoning book, but they weren't. They were actually for just the city codes. So when the misnumbering happened, they didn't fit with our book. That's because they don't go in our book to begin with. This happened while I was out, so I confirmed with Caitlin that we were confused with that. So what we can do is not have that in the book. It doesn't belong there. We can have all the numbering perfect, and we can print the books and have those ready fairly soon.
Great.
Good news.
So that's all I have.
All right.
Great.
Excellent.
6:40.
And that brings us to 6:41. We'll open up our continued public hearing scheduled for 6:40 for City Council Petition 20-22 regarding overflow lots to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to the parking of unregistered vehicles.
Sal's not here, so I can just give a brief update on this. We had a subcommittee meeting with, there were about 6 members in attendance. There was a planning board member, that was Sal. There was a member from the zoning board of appeals, and that was Michelle, I think, Hagstrom. And then we had a property owner, Nick Piero. We had conservation agent, we had the building commissioner, and myself. And we had a meeting on this, and there were a lot of comments. Sal wants to be an integral part of taking those comments and drafting an update to this. That process did not happen yet, so we're gonna have to hopefully either continue this or withdraw it and resubmit it to the board.
You need a motion to continue?
I'm sorry.
Just a note, Sal just has his personal issues with his mother being unwell. So that's,
Well,
he was able to come sometimes if he could get a break away, but
do we need to keep the public hearing open for us to draft some kind of?
The original petition is gonna be pretty different than.
the
So it
original
makes
petition is
sense
going to be
withdraw
significantly
it and
different.
Resubmit it when it's ready, a new.
Right, so
Re-advertise and
we
everything.
can close the public hearing then?
You can.
We can't because we don't have 6 members here.
Okay.
Right, can we,
Do you need a supermajority on that?
actually, can we even open them?
When it's a modification of the ordinance, we need a supermajority.
I'm just saying because it's a public hearing, so we can't even make a motion.
Well, you might be, well, I didn't know, like,
Hmm,
I thought it was only for special permits that is the
It was for
ordinance.
special permits, yeah.
okay. I'm not 100% sure, I thought it was for all public hearings, but I could be wrong.
John, do you know?
What's that?
We only have 5 members here, and this is for an ordinance change. Do we need 6 members to take a vote to make any movement on this?
For a public hearing.
Yeah, you do.
Wait,
But you can say, well,
why? I don't,
you can move it.
Can we just take
then
it?
how are we gonna do the next one?
That's a site
You can't
plan.
take action.
The next
So
one
you're
is-
saying when it's an ordinance, when there's a modification to an ordinance,
I
we need a
have,
supermajority? I mean, it does, I mean,
When there's a public hearing.
there's not any action to it anyway, so.
I think the
we'll go
easiest
to
thing
next
is just
I
to
don't have a-
continue it to the next meeting and wait.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's do
You
that.
can't take any information, but we could continue it.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing for.
6:50,
6:45.
Yeah, at least a month, 2 months.
6:45?
On 5/2.
Elizabeth,
Yes.
On 5.
move it out at least into the middle of May.
Okay, middle of May, so you want to do May
Probably
16th?
makes sense too.
Yeah,
That's I think, is that a
I
holiday?
rescind my
or-
previous motion and make a motion to
It's
schedule
not
it for
Memorial Day.
6:30.
May 16th is the first, is that Memorial Day? Let me just check.
No, that should be
No.
Memorial Day.
Okay, so May
Memorial Day's the
16th?
25th or
No,
something.
Memorial Day should be early.
It's not that early.
Memorial Day is Monday, May 30th.
It's late.
So it's the 16th is works. Do you want to do 6:30?
6:30 on May 16th. So.
Second.
Thank you.
Just to let everybody know, I'll take the vote.
okay, was the motion made?
Yes. And second.
Patrick Perla,
Yes.
Carol Vittorioso,
Yes.
Jason Parre, John Souza,
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have 5 minutes.
John wanted to say
Let's go.
something.
Just let everybody know, on this, we found that most of these, new lots were over 10 parking places. Our ordinances already call for a site plan and a special permit if it's in the watershed.
Okay, we're just not gonna speak specifically to any property though, right?
No,
We're not gonna do
no,
that, okay,
just general information.
yeah.
Since we've scheduled two of the things, we can get to 4.0.
So we can, yeah, let me get there.
Make a motion to move to the regular meeting.
Yes, we'll go to, well,
4.2?
4.1 has been continued. 4.2, City Council Petition 20-22 regarding overflow lots to amend the zoning ordinance pertaining to the parking of unregistered vehicles. Planning board's made recommendation to City Council. We've moved that to, have we yet? Did we
Yes,
do the
May
vote?
16th.
May 16th at
May
6,
16th at 6:30.
at 6:30.
Carol, would you like to come look at this? Do you want?
I have, that's okay, no, I have it. Just, I'm actually looking at my agenda, I'm not doing anything else.
No, I wouldn't
She's
be
playing
able to,
Wordle.
I wouldn't be able to
You're,
follow.
Yeah, I
it.
can
you're very
follow.
Wow.
All right, we have 3 minutes. I'm just checking the thing about,
Want to set up?
yeah, that's a good idea.
Sorry, you guys waiting?
Steph, I think you're right. Among the amendments are, 1, changes to section 5 of the zoning act, which reduced the number of votes required to enact certain kinds of zoning ordinance and bylaws from a 2/3 supermajority to a simple majority. And changes to section 9 of the zoning act, making similar changes to the thresholds, voting thresholds for the issuance of certain kinds of
Yeah,
special
that's for the
permits.
housing, anything to do with housing, I think you don't need.
That's
the-
right, I
you
just
don't need the
realized that's
supermajority.
the cover, that's it, yeah, good job.
Did you guys want to talk about scheduling a little bit? We have May 2nd, we have May 16th, and then after that, we're gonna have, June 6th.
Yeah, sounds right.
And June 20th.
John, when will you be back?
I won't be here.
John will be here for the May 16th meeting, right?
I'll be back.
Okay.
The 20th is, they're recognizing Juneteenth that day, just so you know, so it might actually be a,
Juneteenth is not a holiday by the city council, or the mayor did not declare it a holiday.
I won't be here. Because they don't have work and I didn't think I was going to be meeting either.
So you won't be present at which meeting? The 16th?
The 20th,
The 20th, okay. Oh, that's June, or May?
June 20th.
Okay, June 20th.
Moving out to July, just thinking ahead since we have time on our hands. July 4th is the first Monday.
I'm available.
So,
Is it 4th of July? I don't think so.
so that,
City House closed.
yeah,
We'll probably just have another
we
third.
have one on the July 18th.
Yeah.
Usually the middle of July and middle of August.
All right, 6:50.
Okay, we're gonna open up the public meeting for site plan application for Willard Street, map 500, parcel 2, solar energy system.
Just for the record, Chris Anderson, Handy Engineering, here on behalf of ZP Battery Devco LLC. With me tonight is Tom Corbett, who is the applicant for the project. It's the intent, our property is located at 554 Willard Street to the north side of the existing building. The property currently is on this portion of the site, mostly undeveloped. It's comprised of mostly overgrown woodland brush areas, as well as a extensive wetland series that pretty much encompasses most of the site. Due to the location of the wetlands and the close proximity to the proposed project, we will be filing with the Conservation Commission, and I believe we are scheduled shortly for that.
Should be on the 12th, yeah, it's been submitted.
So So it's the intent of the applicant to construct a 5 megawatt battery storage system on the property. Tom will go into a little bit more detail about the actual battery system, but I'll just run through this basic site development portion of everything. Access will be provided off of Willard Street by a 20-foot wide gravel access drive. This will extend into the property, provide access to 8 concrete storage pads that house the battery system units. The batteries themselves will be encompassed with a security fence with additional area for other electrical components that are associated with the facility. As for stormwater, stormwater will be directed towards a rain garden that will be located on the western or easterly side of the property. We've done soil testing with DPW to confirm the viability of this area for the system, and it is conducive for this. But effectively, the site will pitch the runoff from the property over into this rain garden for infiltration and peak rate mitigation. Due to the nature of this kind of a project, there's no need for a sewer connection and or water, so there's no need for those. And that's pretty much it from a civil site perspective. I will hand it over to Tom and he can go through what the battery program is all about.
Tom Gordon, 0 Point
Can
Development.
you hear? Do you want me to put you
I'm
close?
having a real hard time.
I'm gonna put you closer to the applicant so you can hear him directly underneath him.
So like Chris mentioned, this is a 5 megawatt battery storage system. These systems are designed to take energy off of the grid during times of high production of solar and to store that energy and inject it back into the grid during times of peak demand. So typically our charging windows would go from about 11 in the morning to 5 at night, and then our discharging would be 5 to 11, just to give you like the late in the day part of it. National Grid further restricts each project based upon production on the line, so these all have to go through a strenuous group study with National Grid in order to get implemented within the infrastructure. But Chris touched a little bit, there will be 4 pads here. There's 2 containers on each pad, so there's 8 containers for the 5 megawatt project. Each battery container itself is all accessible from the outside. So where they meet back to back, there are no doors. Where they do meet face to face, there's a 10-foot gap in between. That's for access and egress. The other pieces of equipment here are some reclosers, a recloser, a meter that goes to a transformer, as well as an inverter for the batteries to step down the energy. From the street, these hook up very similar to a solar field. There's a couple more meters involved just with the way that we have to put a timer in and make sure that we're not on when solar's on. So we'll see 2 pad mounted. There'll be a transformer on a pole, a go web on a pole, and then there'll be a transformer on the ground with a recloser, and then there'll be a disconnect as well for us and National Grid. So that equipment's relatively out front of the fence and before the road. And then each container itself has a dry pipe that's plumbed to it for if there was ever a fire to the magnitude that it required a water suppression on it. The fire department does have an option to hook up to that dry pipe and flood the container. There is a point in the container where the water does come out, so it's not that it would backflow ever. So there's orifices all over the container for airflow, ventilation. There's an updraft system in there. Other than that, really, this is the next kind of wave of renewable energy. We're phasing out solar in the state as far as large ground mount solar stuff goes. The SMART program has been extended and expanded a little bit, but it's mainly due for residential homes and battery systems with those as well. So we've had solar, small scale solar stuff in the beginning in 2010, and then we ended up with 1 megawatt projects, 2 megawatt projects around 2008, and from 2008 to present, we've had the SMART program, and the SMART program implemented battery storage with, co-located with solar projects. So they were connected behind the meter, that was getting discharged. So that was more of like a pilot to get us to the point where we're at today. So now we're implementing energy storage throughout the grid structure as the state moves to electrify the grid and move away from fossil fuels. And with that brings in standalone energy. And the real idea behind it was to capture the energy that's being produced that we're not utilizing efficiently. And it's really to make a smart grid long-term, so that all these distributed energy projects can turn on and turn off and equalize out the grid for the future. It's going to take a while to get there, but that is the goal. And we'll be seeing battery storage coming into play throughout Massachusetts in large concentrations of solar areas, like around here, Central Mass, Southeast Mass, and Southwest Mass predominantly. Offshore wind is also going and being implemented right now. So by 2026, we should have about 1,600 megawatts of offshore wind connected down to Cape Cod. I mentioned that because they're turning all of the power plants down there, CMAS power plant, Mystic out in Boston, as well as Brayton Point down the Cape. They're turning all those into battery projects, so that offshore wind's going to get injected into all three of those locations, and they'll store that power immediately. And then from there, they're going to make other companies that develop larger sites, 200 megawatts, 500 megawatt sites, along the transmission line. And with that, there's an ability to spread that power throughout Massachusetts, throughout New England, and then once it gets to an area around here and there's a large facility, then it can disperse it into these smaller local grids, which really just makes the energy cheaper in the long run. We're storing more efficient energy. We're moving away from fossil fuels, and that's kind of where we're at. That was a lot, so
Sounds good.
open it to questions.
Yeah. Are these NiCad or lead acid?
These are lithium ion chemistry. Yeah, so the specific chemistry is a lithium iron phosphate, and that is a solid state battery. So there's no heavy metals in there.
Okay. Does it have, you're running in and out, so I get part of it. Does this need special fire suppression, or is it water?
This is water. So the recommendation with the industry, the way the industry is moving, they are moving towards just water as the sole suppressant for these systems. In the event that it does catch on fire, they call that a thermal runaway. And when a battery cell goes into thermal runaway, it really comes down to the heat propagation and how fast that propagates from cell to cell, from module to module. And that's why these systems are built with the lithium iron phosphate. They're the most stable. They have the hardiest cell body, so that their heat dissipation is twice that almost of a heavy metal battery. So you don't really see the heat propagation, so you don't really ever see a spread through the whole module, through the whole system. And each battery container also has, there's 3 different systems that kind of monitor the whole system as a whole, but it breaks down from like the individual rack of batteries to the whole container itself. And then there's hundreds of data points taken every second, and all those have thresholds, and they all have to meet it. And it's an artificial system, so it's intelligent. It learns as it goes, so it can then predict faults if it's seeing fluctuations and differences in different cells, and it will call us for maintenance.
And the fire suppression system that you were describing earlier involved flooding the site or flooding?
Yeah, so the individual container has 3 separate cabinets inside of it. So the container itself is 30 feet long, so if you can picture it just in thirds. There's a battery rack on one side, in the middle there's DC to DC converters, and on the other side there's another battery rack. So we separate the 2 battery areas as 2 separate containment areas, and above those racks there's deluge water heads. So there's a whole piping system that comes in that gets piped from the connection outside of the box and goes in, and there's 8 sprinkler heads in each containment area. So when they hook up to that pipe, it would effectively make all of those sprinkler heads go on. So that's really like a last ditch kind of effort, saying that if something was to spread, that's typically when they would call it kind of like a loss at that point and put water to the system itself. Other than that, it's really tactically based with just spraying water into the affected area via a hose.
Now, do we have any noise out of the rectifiers or inverters?
Sorry about that?
Noise out of the inverters?
These all meet mass standards of noise ordinance. We have to test it anyway. But these inverters run about 75 decibels. I believe the exact number, I believe, is right around 75.
What distance?
Yeah, in the batteries, the battery containers, the noise from those, there's just a cooling system with that, and that cooling system runs at a high of 69.
Yeah, but the inverters can be noisy.
They can be, but it's not like going to a solar site where it's ramped up all the time. Solar's trying to produce the most energy that it possibly can, and those inverters can get really loud, so that's kind of what people associate these inverters with. But these are slowly taking energy off throughout the day, and they're not really ramped up as much as a solar inverter.
Yeah, is that 75 at the site? Or
That's from 1 meter, so by the time you get about 60 to 75 feet away, you really can't hear these that
Well,
much.
our ordinance is 60 feet.
Excuse me?
I think our ordinance is 70 dB and 60 feet.
So what's the distance on the
But I have
side
to check that.
from the neighbors?
The closest house, as I had it written down, but it's about 180 feet to the nearest home.
Hear that, John?
180?
180 feet to the nearest house.
Okay, that should be okay.
And just Chris Anderson, again, just chiming in on this. You also have a security fence around it, so you do have that buffer, and we're putting additional plantings along the front of the Willard. Everything to the west, or the east, sorry, is all wetland and never to be developed unless a drastic change in wetland regulations happen. But everything towards Willard Street is protected by an arborvitae evergreen line that'll be up as part of the construction to help replace and bolster that existing tree line that's already there now.
And what, you're clear cutting to the neighbor on the south there, or is there any kind of bump, just?
It's
So it's
currently open.
Yeah, we could, you could make that a condition, and in the future, if there's a problem, they would have to plant trees or some kind of noise suppression.
It's industrial zone.
But that would be in the future after it's built, to see an actual count. If it's not an issue, then you don't worry about it. But we condition it so that, you say, hey, if we get 70 at the houses, then you gotta do something to break the noise down. But it shouldn't be a problem. It's a distance that they're saying, it should be like about 40 to 50 at the houses.
Anything else before I move to the department head comments? Okay. So, fire approves, building inspector approves, police approve, DPW writes, it appears bollards are shown within the right-of-way. The plan should be revised to show these structures inside the property boundaries. Assessor approves. Conservation,
It's pending.
pending, yeah. And then, I have,
Health has no comments.
health has no comments, then, our planning director, you're looking for a waiver pertaining to the requirement for a landscape plan. Okay, it's located in industrial. All right. Lighting, per the relevant section, demonstrate that all lighting of the site maintains a level of 1-foot candle in driveway, parking, and pedestrian areas, and that glare from the installation of outdoor lights is properly shielded from view of adjacent property and public rights of way. Per the relevant section, the applicant must demonstrate that all outdoor lighting will be arranged to minimize glare and light spilling over to the neighboring properties. Obviously, there's the wetlands that the Concom will take care of. Property boundaries indicate all property boundaries and the use and ownership of adjacent land and the location and use of any buildings thereon within 300 feet of the boundary of the subject property. Screening, be ready to verbally describe how screening is provided from abutting properties. I believe we did that. Indicate snow storage areas. It is assumed that the snow will be removed from the access drive and from the proposed energy system renewable. Where will this snow be stored? Turnaround for fire, and they've already evaluated that. Landscape, that's where you're looking for the waiver. Dumpster is not shown. We're assuming none is proposed. Approval of the site is obviously by 5 out of 8 of us. I don't know if you had any comments on those, Chris.
Let's see, relative to the dumpster, once the construction's kind of said and done, there's nobody there on a regular basis. It's mostly maintenance, so there won't be a need for a dumpster relative to that. Lighting, typically there's no real substantial lighting with these. Sometimes there's a motion sensor light at the equipment pads, but most of the maintenance, if any, that needs to happen will happen during daylight hours. So there's no proposed exterior lights that require that much of an analysis, and they'd be located within the fence line, so I don't foresee having any light intrusion onto the abutting properties. Property boundaries, I did look through my plans, I forgot to add the use of the properties within 300 feet, so we can address that issue prior to construction. I think we kind of touched base on the screening portion of everything a moment ago. Currently it's a woodland area. Most of the properties in the surrounding area are industrial with the exception on the opposite side of Willard. To help bolster that vegetative buffer, again, we're going to be trying to maintain as much of that existing woodland as possible, and then planting evergreen shrubs on about a 6-foot on center perimeter around the along Willard Street to help bolster that native buffer again. These will be about 4 feet at time of planting, and arborvitaes, once they get going, they don't stop. So it's anticipated over the next few years that it would provide a substantial buffer to shield that area as well. Fire, it's a relatively short run, so I don't foresee that issue coming back, and we kind of signed off on it. And then for snow storage, during the winter months, typically it's only a periodic visit out here with a pickup truck. So if they need to plow snow, they'll push it off to the side, but it's not a substantial plowing operation like for a parking lot, so it's very minor in nature. So we don't foresee an issue with additional snow storage issues on the property.
Any other questions or comments from the board? We have no one in the audience to open this up to, so.
You need a motion to approve the waiver?
Close the hearing.
Motion to close the hearing?
Second.
Motion made and seconded to close the hearing. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla.
Yes.
Carol Vittorioso.
Yes.
Jason Parre.
Yes.
John Souza.
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
No, it's you. I thought it was John.
I thought it was John.
Let's just blame it on Sean. All right, let me, okay, motion carries. Close the hearing, and I think we've covered everything in the agenda. We can go straight to under, is is that what it's under? I'm sorry, I lost my agenda.
Yes.
Oh, here it is.
New business.
5.1.
5.0,
5.1.
5.1, site plan application for Willard Street, map 500, parcel 2, solar energy. Now, Jason, you can make that.
I make a motion that we approve the waiver to forego the landscape plan for the solar project.
Second.
Motion made and second to accept their waiver of landscape plan. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla.
Yes.
Carol Vittorioso.
Yes.
Jason Parre.
Yes.
John Souza.
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
And then do I have a motion to approve it with John's
I will make a
suggestions?
motion to approve the site plan
Make it
application
a condition?
Yes.
with the condition that if decibels reach 70 in any abutting property, there will be mitigation efforts implemented
Okay. Noise
for
suppression.
the noise suppression.
Okay.
Second.
Is that the only condition?
I believe so.
Nothing from the,
That's all I can
what,
think.
how about from the
And the
department?
waiver.
What's that?
And just include the waiver.
And the waiver then, was there any other than,
Something about bollards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was just on the plan though, they wanted that
yeah,
adjustment.
one of
We
the
didn't-
bollards is 18 inches over the property
Given the
line.
right of way.
We can ship that back
Okay.
easily enough.
So we'll add all department head comments as well as a condition along with John's.
All outstanding department comments.
Yes.
And then you want to say that Elizabeth will, or the planning and development director will review the property prior to certificate of occupancy.
Okay. All right. So that motion with those 3 specific conditions and the waiver's already been approved. We had a motion, Jason second. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla.
Yes.
Carol Vittorioso.
Yes.
Jason Parre.
Yes.
John Souza.
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
Good luck.
Great.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
your
very much.
presentation.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you. Good job.
All right. We've made it through the entire agenda. I don't have an executive, there's no executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn? We don't have Sal here, we don't have Tom here. Who's our
I
third
don't think I've
backup?
ever done it, but I'll do it. So move. Make a motion to adjourn. the
Motion
meeting.
made, second by Jason. All those in favor, roll call vote.
Patrick Perla.
Yes.
Carol Vittorioso.
Yes.
Jason Parre.
Yes.
John Souza.
Yes.
Dean Valier.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thanks, guys.